is a saying, and you know it well, sell in May, go away. Does that really matter anymore? Is this a year perhaps where that would not be a smart move for investors to make?
It's a pithy thing to say, but last couple of years it hasn't been terribly profitable. I like to understand why things happen and what leads up to sayings and popular understandings. I think part of that is, the olden days of summer. It was a difficult trading environment. People would go on vacations, the European vacation cycle. I'm just not as convinced. These are global markets. These are high frequency markets. These are high data markets. So I think going away at any time and not managing your assets actively, I think would be a misuse of one's resources and time.
So what are some of the sectors that you're high on that you think actually might outperform over the months ahead?
Yeah, the months ahead we would look in quarters, so we combine, at Russell, the strategic, the intermediate, as well as the high frequency. And I think that the broader term, we expect equities to outperform bonds and cash. And that's what I think people really need to look at is, do they have the discipline to stay in these multi-asset risk-oriented strategies? And that's kind of like the guide rail in your portfolio. I think more higher frequency, I think it's going to be a challenging environment for bonds and fixed income. We saw that last year. We've seen that this year. So we are looking at equities from a global perspective. The valuations in the United States, the market kind of looks fairly valued, not obviously cheap, not obviously expensive. A similar valuation in Europe. So for us, we are looking actively security selection in healthcare is a name that comes up in the U.S. Quite often. Certain areas of financials, certain areas of the consumer, industrials and materials. So names that are going to participate in a gradually improving and measurably improving U.S. economy, a stabilizing and somewhat bettering global economy, but understanding also that there's going to be a lot of chop in this earnings season. So we want to look at revenue, pricing power, and a modest exposure into this global expansion.
Do dividends matter to you?
Dividends do matter, but at what price? And I think what has been a very interesting issue for the last couple of years, which would companion this sell in May and go away idea, is that as the fixed income market's gotten very challenged, and your viewers might notice that yield is very, very difficult to find in this world. So as yield disappears, investors have been looking for yield or bond replacements. So they're looking in areas of the stock market over the last couple of years that behave like bonds and gave them that yield or that rate of return. It's gotten very expensive, and it has been for a while. So dividend is a play or a strategy that we do like, but we don't want to overpay for that exposure. And in a crowded trade, valuations matter more so. So it would really be a name-by-name basis, but generally it's a little rich.